3 Sinister First Day on the Job Tales, Creepy Truths Revealed, Cursed Discoveries Haunting Fates. Leah gripped the steering wheel, the engine humming as she drove through the sleepy Midwestern streets. Today was her first day as the activities coordinator at the Maplewood Community Center. She could almost taste hope rising in her chest. But past the glow of autumn leaves, an unsettling breeze whispered of a child who had vanished merely weeks ago. As she arrived, laughter pierced the air from kids at the playground, their joy crashing against the heavy weight of whispered concerns that lingered among the townsfolk. The moment Leah stepped inside, her senses were overwhelmed. The cheerful smiles from her new colleagues felt forced, their laughter echoing too loudly in the vacant hallways. An unease coursed through her, as if the walls themselves were hunched over, hiding secrets. "We must protect our community," a woman insisted, her voice laced with fear. Panic bubbled under Leah's skin. A missing child, was that what this was about? The cheerful facade began to crack, the hallways felt like a maze, each corner revealing shadowy corners hiding more than they should. She could hear echoes of children, but it was as if the laughter turned sinister, looping in her ears. Eyes darted around, catching snippets of hushed conversations about the keepers of the town and sacrifices made long ago. A chill tightened around Leah's heart. What were they keeping? As she settled into her duties, unease morphed into a gnawing dread. Voices hushed as she approached, parents exchanged glances that spoke of unspeakable fear. The creaking of the old building felt eerie, sending a shiver down her spine. Speculation brewed in her mind like a storm. Was it paranoia, or was there truly something sinister lurking beneath the surface? Before she could shake it off, the first sinister element presented itself, a locked storage room in the back of the center. Her heart raced as she decided to explore after hours. What she found inside made her blood run cold. Old county records began to pile up around her, but it was the fabric in the corner that sent her breath hitching in her throat. Torn clothing, the color shockingly similar to the shirt Danny loved. Panic surged wildly. "No, it couldn't be. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let us continue. She rushed to her phone, desperate, but the voice on the other end dismissed her as nothing more than a paranoid newcomer. "You don't want to scare the community with crazy ideas," they warned. The afternoon sunlight bled into shadows, creating a terrifying contrast that made her feel unwelcome in this supposed safe haven. As game night approached, Leah steeled herself to confront her colleagues. But the familiarity began to morph into something darker. Each smile, each sound of laughter turned gnawing. It felt wrong. The hidden symbol scratched into a wooden beam told her she was not just an activities coordinator. She stood at the edge of a horrific truth about survival in this town. Just as the feeling of dread tightened its grip, Leah felt a cold hand grasp her ankle, dragging her back into the darkness. A sick realization settled in. She was submerged in something deeper, a nightmare from which there seemed to be no escape. The echoes of a child's laughter twisted into haunting cries as she tried to break away, barely grasping the sinister web she stumbled into. Desperation clawed at her throat. Who were the real keepers of Maplewood? The chill of the darkness tightened its grip around Leah as she struggled against the invisible force clamping her ankle. Panic surged inside her like a tidal wave, drowning every rational thought. How could this be happening? Why was no one coming to her aid? The laughter of children became a cacophony of agony in her ears, transforming her sanctuary into a twisted theater of horrors. She wrenched her foot free and stumbled backward, the storage room door slamming shut behind her with a thunderous bang. Heart racing, she pressed against the cold metal of the door, desperate for escape. Her breath came in ragged gasps as her eyes darted around the room, searching for a weapon, something to fend off the terror lurking just beyond her line of vision. A sense of dread swallowed her whole, heavy and suffocating. The torn clothing hung menacingly in the corner, shadows shifting shapes against the dim light. It was Danielle's. How could that be? She needed to think. She dug through the clutter, groping for anything that might help when she stumbled upon an old box. Dust curled around her fingers as she opened it. Inside lay faded photographs and news articles, missing persons cases stretching back decades. Every article told a similar tale. Children gone. Families shattered. And in nearly every article, a symbol that matched the one carved into the wooden beam in the center, a crude representation of something ancient, something sinister. Leah felt bile rise in her throat. This wasn't just a community center, it was a shrine, a vault for the forgotten souls of Maplewood. From somewhere deep in the center of the building, she could hear chanting, quiet at first, then growing louder, an unsettling rhythm that seemed to sync with her pounding heart. It pulled her in like a siren's song, compelling her to move closer. Against every instinct screaming at her to run, she followed the sound, unable to resist the call of the dark. Navigating through dim hallways, Leah found herself standing before a wide-open door, light spilling out like an unwelcome invitation. Peering inside, she could see a circle of people gathered, heads bowed, the reverence on their faces chilling her to the core. She hesitated at the threshold, struck by a sudden thought. Were they here to recruit new blood into their rituals? "What have you brought us, Leah?" A voice slipped through the air like poison, slick and smooth. It was Maggie, one of her new colleagues, standing with an unsettling serenity. The others shifted, eyes flicking up to meet Leah's with an intensity that burned into her skin. "I don't know what this is," Leah stammered, fear clawing at her throat, "but I need to leave. Now." "Leave?" The chant swelled with laughter that felt more like a threat. "You're one of us now. The children need you." The weight of those words struck Leah like a physical blow. She stumbled back, eyes narrowing in disbelief as Maggie stepped closer, her expression soft but eyes filled with predatory hunger. Leah caught a whisper curling through the air, a name, a plea, Danny. In that moment, everything twisted into absolute horror. The walls began to pulse, closing in on her, on the laughter, on the chants that echoed in her mind. Hope was a fragile thread, vibrating in the air. She had to break free, but with every inch she retreated, the darkness crept closer, hungry and determined. Join the keepers, Leah. Tomorrow would be too late. The time for decisions was running out. What awaited her beyond the door? Was there anyone left to save? As the chanting intensified, she knew there was no safety to return to, only the choice to plunge deeper into the abyss or risk everything to escape. The question weighed heavily on her mind. Did she have the strength to confront what lay hidden beneath the facade of Maplewood? The air thickened as Leah's gaze flickered back to the circle of bodies swaying in time with the haunting chants. Her composure frayed, unraveling with each beat. This wasn't just a gathering, it was a predatory ritual laced with dread. Their fervor ignited a deep-rooted terror in her, twisting the very fabric of her reality. "Stay!" Maggie's voice, now a serpentine hiss, pierced through the haze of fear. Leah felt the chill of control wash over her, wrapping around her mind like a boa constrictor. "You are home now." Home. The very thought turned her stomach. The chant grew louder, becoming a relentless roar, drowning out her ability to think, to breathe. "Come, Leah," the others urged, their voices merging, a symphony of the damned. She pivoted, adrenaline surging anew as she charged away from the door, away from the mesmerizing light and toward the shadowed hallway behind her. Every step echoed hollow through the vast emptiness of the community center, the walls pressing in like teeth closing on a bone. But just as she thought she gained ground, she skidded to a halt. There, blocking her escape, was a figure steeped in shadow. It was an unnatural shade, a distortion in the light, eyes glinting with malevolence. "Going somewhere?" The figure drawled, its voice vibrating through her terror-stricken heart. Leah's breaths came quick and shallow, her instincts screamed for her to flee, but her feet seemed glued to the floor. "I need to find Danny," she said wildly, desperation painting her tone. "Danny?" The shadow stepped closer, revealing a face she recognized. Danielle. But there was nothing human left in her eyes. They glowed against the darkness, swirling with something far less innocent. "Oh, he's here. He's one of us now. Danielle, no." The name tumbled from her lips like a prayer as Leah grasped for any connection left in that cold, hollow shell. "You have to fight this." "Oh, Leah," Danielle whispered, voice dripping with malice and sorrow, "there's nothing left to fight." With that, she lunged forward, and Leah's instincts kicked in. Leah twisted away, sprinting blindly down the corridor, adrenaline suffusing her veins. The chants echoed louder behind her, a monstrous chorus demanding her return. She raced past rooms that looked like tombs, each one holding memories, secrets, and whispers of lives devoured by the darkness. In one of the rooms, a glimpse of movement drew her eye, a small figure crouched in the corner. Leah hesitated, but the name echoed in her mind, gripping her heart. "Danny? Is that you?" The figure looked up, but it wasn't Danny. It was a little girl, her face smudged with dirt, eyes wide with terror. "Help me!" she begged, tremors shaking her tiny frame. She called out again, "They took me, they hurt me, please." But a terrible realization clawed at Leah's chest. The girl was one of the missing, one of the names from the articles. Just another soul trapped in this web of horror. With the chanting swelling behind her, Leah made a choice. She scooped the girl into her arms, adrenaline pumping her forward. "We have to get out. Hold on tight." But more figures began to emerge from the shadows of the hallway, more lost children, their faces turned toward her with endless hope and haunted despair. Each one was a face from the faded articles, a name etched in the heart of Maplewood. The chanting reached a fever pitch, echoing around her like a death knell. Join us," with every heartbeat. Leah felt the grip of fear tightening, but she didn't waver. This was no time for surrender. Freedom had to be out there, she could not doom these lost souls again. She charged forward through the throng of shadows, desperate to escape the claws of the darkness, but as she reached the exit, the door slammed shut before her with a deafening thud. A new voice pierced the chilling air, "You can't leave now, Leah. The ritual has begun." What was she really facing? Was escape even possible? Those eyes, those voices, they closed in on her, swallowing her hope whole. She braced herself against the door, not knowing if it would hold against the tide of darkness, or if it would soon become part of the living nightmare of Maplewood. The stench of despair thickened, and in that moment, she knew it would take everything she had to break free. "Stay with us, Leah," the voices coaxed. "You belong here." Could she withstand their call? Would she have to confront the truths hidden within this cursed place? The darkness seemed to breathe with anticipation, waiting to see what she would do next. The door rattled against her weight as Leah pushed, panic flooding her system. Sweat dripped down her back, pooling at the small of her spine. The girl in her arms clung tightly, her fingers digging into Leah's skin like tiny claws. "We have to go," Leah shouted back at the chanting shadows, feeling their intensity swell as if the air thickened with their malevolence. "Join us," the whisper echoed closer, mocking her frantic heartbeats. She turned, desperate to face whatever was on the other side of that door. The chanting victims, once familiar faces twisted by despair, edged toward her, their hands outstretched as the little girl's eyes widened in horror. "Don't let them take me." With every fiber of her being, Leah pushed against the door again, fear coiling around her chest. It wouldn't budge. It was as if it had merged with the wall. Behind her, the horde's chant morphed, pulling the rhythms of her own heartbeat into a sickening tempo. "Leah," they sang, a sinister harmony. "Shut up!" she screamed, choking on the words as they flew out in defiance. She thought of Danny. Was he like them now? Was there no way to save him if he was lost in this darkness? Suddenly, the lights flickered, an ominous strobe of darkness and light, a cruel tease of hope against grim shadows. Shadows flickered and twisted, contorting into grotesque shapes, children, adults, all caught in the rituals of the damned. Leah felt herself shaking, a chill creeping into her bones, the room vibrating with the resonance of their despair. Then, just like that, she saw the flicker of something on the girl's wrist, a bracelet. A small, delicate chain with a charm meant to keep evil spirits at bay. Leah recognized that charm. Danny used to wear one just like it. Her pulse quickened. If the girl had it, maybe Danny could still be saved. Where did you get that? Leah asked, her voice wobbling but fierce. From the woman who took me. She said it keeps them away. It was a thread of hope, thin as spider silk, but enough to ignite Leah's will. Then we have to break free. We have to find Danny. She turned sharply, facing the chanting tide, praying for a chance, some way to break through. Leah felt the girl's grip tighten in fear as she took a step forward. You don't scare me. She shouted at the swaying figures, each one seeming to inch closer, whispering promises of peace in exchange for her surrender. The leader of the chant, Maggie, emerged from the throng, her eyes ablaze with dark light. What will you sacrifice to save him, Leah? She hissed. The question rippled through Leah's mind. What had she even been willing to give up? A tremor coursed through her. Everything. She proclaimed, feeling a sudden surge of defiance. I will not let you take any more children. With an unexpected roar, the door shuddered violently behind her, shaking free of its unseen grip. The chorus stuttered, a crack in their relentless force. Leah seized it, pushing the door with Herculean strength, ignoring the boyish whispers calling to her from the depths beyond, but as the door swung wide, an unnatural wind rushed through, carrying the stench of decay, an unseen force shoving her back. It wasn't just the darkness reaching out, it was something much worse. Leah. The girl's voice was shrill as shadows surged, closing in around them. Keep moving. Leah shouted, a primal urge pushing her forward, but it was too late. Figures shifted, blocking their path, a wall of horror surrounding them. She raised the girl higher, her instincts screaming that they were trapped in a cage of despair. Let us find a way out of here. We can. They staggered backward as the chanting grew deafening, the air thickened, closing in like a vice. No one leaves this place. Maggie bellowed, the voice shifting from harmony to growl, shaking the very foundations of Leah's hope. As she fought against the shadows, a desperate thought consumed her. Was it too late for Danny? Would they only join the ranks of the lost? The girl whimpered, her frail body trembling. Please. I don't want to stay here. Then the horrific weight of realization crashed down upon Leah. Perhaps the only escape lay in the sacrifices demanded by the ritual. Were they going to have to pay the darkest price to save their own? Time hung in the balance as the shadows converged tighter, ready to consume them whole. Would they embrace the horrors of Maplewood or claw their way back to the light? The suffocating darkness drew closer, and Leah prepared for the fight of her life. What awaited them behind the door now wide open? Would they discover a way out, or plunge further into the abyss? The shadows writhed, pressing in, their clammy reach inching ever closer. Leah could feel the heartbeat of the darkness thumping in her chest, a nauseating drumbeat growing louder with every moment. Move, she screamed, though her voice was barely a whisper against the encroaching terror. She pushed the girl to the side, instinctual trust deepened between them. They needed to find something, a weapon against the scourge that had taken root in Maplewood. Leah's mind raced as their surroundings blurred. The air felt thicker now, chest tightening, the otherworldly stench crawling up her throat. Where can we go? The girl's voice trembled, inching over Leah's panic like a cracked dam. She scanned the jagged edges of the room, as the horrified faces grew closer, contorted features grinning in malicious anticipation. Leah spotted a darkened corner, the remnants of something that looked like a pathway. Over there. She shouted, not waiting to see if the girl followed. Leah dashed toward the corner, every step seeming to take an eternity, shadows clawing at her heels, whispering curses that sent chills skittering along her skin. Just as they reached the alcove, Leah noticed a mirror, fractured and shattered, reflecting images of their horror-stricken faces back at them. It gleamed ominously, each shard a dark reminder of what could still be lost. No time, she urged, hatchets of fear slicing through her. As they stepped into the dark corridor, the air turned stale and bitter. "Hang on to me." Leah grabbed the girl's frail hand, squeezing it tight. They plunged into a corridor shrouded in thick shadows, twisting and turning beyond reason. Suddenly, Leah heard laughter sickening and shrill. "You can't escape, Leah. Your sacrifice will bring him back." Maggie's voice echoed down the tunnel, its resonance weaving through the very fabric of their flight. Each step forward became a battle against the sound, a gaping maw trying to swallow them whole. "I won't leave you." The girl cried, her determination shining through terror, and Leah's heart twisted. "You won't lose me." But deep down, a creeping dread snaked in. What if that was the only choice left? Leah skidded to a halt. The corridor whispered around them, revealing doors that opened into darkness. Which path could lead them back? Each echo was a noose tightening around her sanity. "What do we do?" the girl pleaded, eyes wide with fear, her small body trembling. Leah scanned each door, desperately searching for a glimmer of a way out. And then she saw it, a soft, silver light spilling from one door on the left, illuminating a symbolic sigil drawn in blood, glowing against the blackness. It beckoned. That might be it, she shouted, adrenaline igniting her steps as she charged forward, the girl right beside her. Each heartbeat in unison, they reached for the handle. As Leah flung the door open, the light erupted like a trapped star, momentarily stunning her. But then came chaos. "No," the whispers crescendoed, shattering the fragile hope they had. Leah stumbled back, her breath hitching in her chest. Shadows writhed aggressively, swirling around her like a tempest unleashed. "Leave her. You don't have to do this," the girl cried, but before Leah could respond, the shadows lunged, dragging her away, icy fingers gripping her ankles, rising like a tide to drown her. Desperation clawed at Leah. "We can't give in," she shouted, but the shadows mocked her, intertwining tighter and tighter. The little girl shrieked, her voice abruptly silenced as darkness enveloped her. Leah felt the room tilt, the very air bending under the weight of their hopelessness. Just as the abyss threatened to swallow them whole, Leah glimpsed a fleeting vision of Danny, his face twisted with anguish, mouthing something. She couldn't hear him, but his eyes screamed. "Danny!" she cried out. Were the sacrifices she had to make becoming clear? A surge of determination overtook her as she pushed against the void. If the shadows demanded a price, she'd give them more than they could take. "You want me? Then take me." Leah's voice thundered, echoed by the roar of the crashing darkness. But was it too late for the girl? Were they both destined to dwell in this haunted space forever? The swirling darkness hesitated, as if caught in surprise. Leah breathed in a spark of resolve. What did the shadows really fear? What would she really have to give to save both herself and the girl? In that moment of uncertainty, the shadows grew still, like a cat waiting to pounce. The question hung heavy in the air, as Leah faced the deepest dread of all: was there anything left of her worth saving? Would she dare to plunge further into the unknown to unveil the secret of the light? The shadows quivered, drawn back like a coiled snake poised to strike, but Leah's defiance rippled through them. The murmurs faded into a low hiss, a collective breath held in the dark. It felt as if time was suspended as Leah stood at the precipice of her own desperation. She had summoned something, her voice, her will, and it hung in the chilling air. The girl was gone, swallowed whole by the darkness behind her, and the reality of loss sank its claws deep into Leah's chest. The shadows flickered, a dance of hunger and hesitation. Were they reconsidering their claim over her? Don't take her!" Leah shouted, her voice trembling but firm. "Take me, if that's what you need." Silence answered her, heavy and suffocating, but doubt gnawed at her. Was she merely sealing her fate? With expectant anticipation, the shadows ebbed and flowed, inching back to allow the shimmer of light before her to pulse and breathe. Leah felt an invisible force pull her towards the sigil shimmering in silver against the onslaught of darkness. Somehow, it felt alive, a beckoning heart, throbbing in tandem with her own. "What is this?" she whispered, reaching out. Her fingers brushed against the soft glow, and a bolt of energy surged through her, igniting her corrupted veins. It felt warm, almost welcoming, chased away the dread clawing at her mind. This light was promising something, a way out. Or perhaps something more sinister. With renewed strength, Leah took a step closer, the weight of the shadows now falling away, revealing glimpses of the corridor behind her. The girl's scream echoed in her mind, a haunting melody that urged her on. Her choice felt like it stretched for eternity, the light or the shadows. What if one led to the girl? "Whatever you are, show me," Leah demanded, voice laced with defiance. She stepped through the threshold, abandoning the shadows lurking just behind. She was enveloped in warmth, the light spinning around her, yet the second she crossed completely, a violent gust blasted behind her, a wrathful wind that surged from the darkness. Instinctively, she turned back, but the door was gone. Where there had been walls was now only an endless, swirling abyss. No. Fear flooded her senses, the taste of panic bitter on her tongue. No. Bring her back. But there was no reply. Only the sighing remnants of her own desperation echoed against the emptiness. Standing in the light, Leah felt disoriented. The hallway morphed around her, walls shifting like the ground beneath her feet. She gripped her head, battling nausea as flickers of images flashed before her: children, laughter, a family crumbling into shadows, and Danny's face twisted in pain, his mouth moving soundlessly. "They're suffering because of you." A voice filled with silken menace emerged from the light, coaxing her to face her guilt. "They need you," Leah whispered, shaking her head in disbelief. "I didn't mean to. I never wanted." "You've come a long way, Leah. This is your path now." The voice, soft yet firm, wrapped around her like chains. "Sacrifice is inevitable." She felt dizzy. The girl, the shadows, Danny, these were pieces of a puzzle she would have to solve. But at what cost? What did this light require of her? Leah squeezed her eyes shut, struggling to cast away doubt. "I want to be trapped. If I have to fight, I'll fight," she declared, breath turning into a whisper, but it tingled with the strength of conviction. With each moment, the swirling light began to dim, the thin glimmer receding. In the distance, a figure moved, a shadow creeping closer. Was it the girl? "Come back!" Leah cried, reaching out, her heart pounding mercilessly. Shadows beckoned from the corners, lurching toward her, prepared to consume her once more. But something flickered in her peripheral vision, a new door, barely flickering under the surface of reality. Her heart seized with the thread of hope. She sprinted toward it, willing it to open. "Please be her. Please let us go free," Leah begged, her breath hitching, the very air thick with despair, as fingers reached out from the light's threshold and shadow claws at her back. As she grasped the doorknob, she felt the shadows snap to attention behind her. "Will you choose hope, even in despair?" The voice taunted, crossing reality's fragile boundaries. Leah focused on the door, an electric hum of possibility blooming in her chest. What awaited her on the other side? Would it lead to the girl? Or was it a trap, a darker fate waiting to unfold? As Leah twisted the doorknob, the air thickened. A low, growling whisper surged from the shadows behind her, an ominous reminder of the threat ready to devour what little hope she had left. She pushed forward, stepping through the door into what felt like a dream ripped from the pages of a nightmare. The room was alive with color, startling and surreal, a stark contrast to the oppressive gray of the corridor she had fled. Vibrant murals painted on the walls celebrated life, depicting children playing in fields under bright skies. Leah's breath caught in her throat. "This isn't real," she murmured, her heart pounding in her chest. But the laughter, sweet and innocent, echoed in the air. It was enticing, a siren's call that made her dizzy with longing, yet confusion clouded her mind. Was this a cruel trick? She took a tentative step inside, the floor soft beneath her feet, like grass after a rainfall. It was almost too good to be true, and with every moment, the shadows loomed in her mind, threatening to snuff out this glow. "Is it you?" Leah called, conviction trembling in her voice. "Are you here, little girl?" Silence hung in the air, thick and unsettling. She walked deeper into the room, her pulse quickening as flickers of movement caught her eye. At the far end, a figure stood near a radiant painting. A girl, her hair cascading like sunlight, peered up at Leah with wide, startled eyes. "Help," the girl mouthed, but no sound came. Leah's heart cracked open. "Wait!" Leah shouted, rushing towards her. The vibrant world began to dissolve behind her, colors swirling into shadows, threatening to consume everything in a dark torrent. "Don't go!" Leah gasped, outstretching her hand. The girl looked almost ethereal, her presence tugging at Leah's heart like a yearning she couldn't define. But as Leah took another step, the shadows crept forward, dark tendrils reaching out, hissing softly, "Leave and the girl will be lost forever." "No!" Leah screamed. With desperation clawing at her gut, she stumbled. She couldn't lose her, she wouldn't let this girl be consumed by the darkness. "Stay with me." But the shadows wrapped around Leah's legs, pulling her back. Teeth clenched, she fought against the malevolent force, fear igniting a fire in her veins. Would she sacrifice herself to save someone she hardly knew? The girl's anxious eyes locked onto hers, straining against the pull of the darkness. "You're the only one who can help me let go," she whispered silently, the words a bittersweet lullaby. "You have to choose." Every fiber in Leah's being screamed to resist, to hold on. But beneath the weight of her own despair, she began to glide towards the shadows that whispered sweet nothings of safety. A way out. A life free from torment. "No!" Leah erupted, grounding herself in the moment. "I won't choose despair." She flung herself away from the shadows, her heartbeat echoing like thunder. With sheer will, she lunged back toward the girl. As she reached for her, the world around her shimmered violently, the vibrant colors deserts of sand melting into blackness. But she didn't hesitate. If she could just touch her, perhaps they could escape together. "Don't you dare give up." The voice echoed, shifting in the air like fog. Just as their fingers brushed, the room shattered, spinning into a vortex of light and shadow. Leah felt the girl slip from her grasp, and a scream escaped her lips as darkness clawed at their connection. Desperation flooded her system. "I will come back for you," she vowed, even as the light of the vibrant place dwindled. But what lay ahead was obscured. Was it freedom? Or a deeper plunge into the shadow's embrace? The last flicker of color vanished, swallowed by an insatiable void. Leah's breath was a frenzied whistle as she fell, grasping for anything solid, praying that she could still find the girl amidst the chaos. "Will you finally face the truth?" The shadows growled, their grip tightening. As Leah plummeted deeper into the dark, the thought spiraled in her mind: what if she was destined to be lost forever, just as the girl had been? Somewhere in the dark, a promise lingered, but would she have the strength to fulfill it? When the landing finally came, it was soft, too soft. Leah looked up in horror at the scene unfolding around her, her path now more convoluted than she'd ever feared. "Welcome to your worst nightmare," a familiar voice whispered, sending ice through her veins as the darkness pressed in, thick and impenetrable. What cruel truths awaited in this new realm? Would she be strong enough to fight her way back? Or was this the true beginning of her torment? Leah's heart raced as she surveyed her new surroundings. Shadows danced across the walls, twisting and distorting, mocking her attempts to find clarity. The familiar voice clawed its way back into her consciousness, a deep, resonating echo of someone she thought she had left behind. She squinted, her eyes trying to pierce the inky abyss that had swallowed her whole. Who's there?" she stammered, her voice shaking, barely a whisper in the oppressive darkness. From the murkiness, a figure emerged, a silhouette whose features were veiled in shadow yet recognizable. It was her former mentor, Peter, the very man who had first introduced her to the world of ghosts, hauntings, and unsolved mysteries. "Peter," she whispered, heart fluttering with a mix of relief and dread. But the smile that formed on his face sent chills down her spine. It was far too wide, too unnatural, veering on the grotesque. "Oh, Leah," he purred, his voice dripping with sickly sweet condescension. "You've come so far, but don't you see? This is your true calling." Before she could respond, the surroundings shifted. The darkness melted away, revealing a stark, cold room lined with old wooden shelves filled with dusty books and jars, bones rattling faintly inside them. The faint glow of candles flickered ominously, casting eerie shadows that seemed to taunt her. "This is where it all begins," Peter continued, stepping closer. The warmth in his voice was replaced by a chilling sharpness. "You were always meant to dive deeper, to understand the darkness." A shiver slithered down Leah's spine. She felt trapped, cornered in a space that smelled of burnt sage and decay. Her instincts screamed for her to run, yet something unseen held her in place. "What are you talking about? I just want to go home." Peter's smile faded, twisted into a sinister scowl. "Home? You ran from it, remember? You think the world out there is safe? The real nightmares lie beyond those walls. Let me go." Leah shouted, panic welling in her throat as the shadows seemed to close in around her. "All you have to do is embrace the truth. This place, it's a portal, you know. A gateway to the real horrors that lay beneath." He gestured toward a large mirror hanging crooked on the wall. The surface rippled like water, reflecting glimpses of dark truth's silhouetted figures screaming, clawing at the fabric of reality, trying to escape. Leah's pulse quickened. "What do you want from me?" She took a step back, dread pooling in her stomach. Peter lunged forward, grabbing her wrist. His grip was cold, an unnatural chill that seeped into her skin. "You must choose to confront what you fear most. Only then can you save her." "Who?" The question slipped out, desperation coloring her tone as she instinctively pulled away. But Peter held her fast, eyes glinting with a manic intensity. "That girl," he breathed, his voice now a soft hiss, "is lost in the darkness. Only you can reach her, but it will cost you your soul." Cost her soul. The words echoed in her mind, vibrating with ominous weight. "Would you dare risk it?" he challenged, his gaze piercing. In that moment, the reality of her situation crashed down on her. The darkness was not just around her, it was within her, ready to consume everything she fought for. But could she truly abandon the girl she barely met to this fate? Suddenly, an ear-piercing scream echoed from the mirror. It was the girl. "Help! Leah, please!" Fear flooded Leah's heart. She had to act, but every path seemed fraught with peril. "Your time is running out," Peter warned. "Make your choice." Leah glanced back at the mirror. The girl's face twisted in terror, a reflection mirroring Leah's own horror. Could she confront the past, face her deepest fears, and still save the girl? Or would she, too, be lost to the darkness forever? Dread pooled within her as she wrestled with her decision. Was there a path forward? Or was the darkness merely a trap, promising salvation while feeding on her deepest fears? Just as her resolve began to harden, the mirror cracked a loud, splintering sound that vibrated in every fiber of her being. What fresh terror awaited on the other side? Would Leah have the strength to confront the truth locked within that dark, shattered reflection? The mirror's crack split through the air like a gunshot. Leah froze, pulse racing, her breath caught in her throat. The split widened, revealing an unsettling light that flickered just beyond the surface. She felt drawn to it, as if invisible threads of fate pulled her closer. Fear turned to urgency, she had to act. "Leah, don't let it take you." Peter's voice was almost a howl, but his presence felt distant, overshadowed by the growing chaos of the mirror. The screaming intensified, the sound slicing through her like a blade. "Help!" the girl cried again. Her eyes wide, pleading seemed to reach out from the depths of the darkness beyond. A flicker of recognition ignited within Leah. It was a face she had never seen, yet it felt achingly familiar, as if woven into the fabric of her own nightmares. "Make your choice, Leah," Peter urged, his voice now a sharp whisper, filled with contempt for her hesitation. "Step through. But understand this: you may never return." With a deep breath, Leah took a step toward the mirror. The air crackled with static, buzzing against her skin as she reached out. Just as her fingertips grazed the surface, the mirror surged violently as if alive, and a strong wind erupted from within it, swirling around her, tugging at her clothes and hair. She gasped as reality twisted and bent, the candlelight flickering wildly. "Leah!" Peter shouted, but the sound was lost in the maelstrom that enveloped her. She felt herself being pulled in, feet slipping across the floor as the boundary of the mirror dissolved like smoke. And then, silence. She stumbled forward, falling onto cold, hard ground, breathless. The overwhelming darkness had swallowed her whole. As her eyes adjusted, she found herself in a desolate landscape, shrouded in fog and shadows. No walls, no shelves of books, just a vast expanse filled with an oppressive stillness that weighed on her chest. "Where am I?" Leah whispered, panic tightening her throat as she scrambled to her feet. She could still feel Peter's words echoing within her. What had she done? A distant crying echoed through the fog, hauntingly familiar. Leah's heart raced once more, recognizing the tone of despair she had heard before. Following the sound felt like walking into a trap, but her instincts drove her on. With every step, memories crashed against her like waves. Dark corners of her mind flooded her thoughts, moments she wanted to forget clawed at her, begging for acknowledgement. She stumbled over unseen roots, shadows reaching out but stopping just short of her. Gritting her teeth against the rising dread, Leah pressed forward, the fog thickened, swirling more aggressively. It seemed alive, responding to her fear. Then she saw her, a figure curled in a ball, sobbing softly, face buried in her knees. "Please!" Leah called out, voice cracking under the weight of terror. "Are you the girl?" The figure lifted her head, and Leah gasped as the girl's face came into view. It was her, but not. A distorted reflection of herself, twisted with anguish. "Help me," the girl pleaded, eyes filled with an ancient sorrow. "She wants you to join her." The words slithered around Leah, coiling tightly, suffocating her. "Who?" Leah gasped, backing away as dread flooded her senses. The darkness thickened as shadows materialized, whispering her name like a chilling chant. Suddenly, the shadows morphed into indistinct forms, moving closer around her. Panic surged as Leah fought against the encroaching darkness, but the weight of the fog pressed down, thickening her resolve until she felt she might dissolve entirely. "Please, Leah. You're the only one," the girl's voice shrieked. And then, from the shadows, a horrible laugh erupted, echoing against the silence. "Does she think she can save you?" it jeered. "She's just like you, lost. You're both trapped." Suddenly, Leah realized she was losing her grip on herself, her memories fading, her sense of reality fraying at the edges. Would she surrender to the darkness, or could she confront it and save them both? As the shadows lunged forward, craving her, Leah's heart thundered in her chest. This was not the end. Not yet. What choice would she make as the biting fear whispered its tempting lies? And could she confront the horrors waiting in the abyss before her? The shadows surged, howling with fury as Leah's heart thundered in her chest. She felt the chilling damp of despair wrap around her, thick as fog, but something deep inside her sparked fiercely. No. She wouldn't surrender, not now, not ever. "You don't control me," she shouted, her voice rising above the cacophony. The shadows paused, a collective hesitation rippling through them. Leah could feel their sinister energy falter, giving way to a flicker of her own strength. She took a step forward, grounding herself against the oppressive darkness. "You want me? Then take me, but let her go." The echoes of her declaration danced around her, intertwining with the whispering winds. Desperation clawed at her, yet determination pushed her forward. She thought of Danny, of the girl, of the countless souls lost to this malevolence. I won't let fear take someone else. Leah screamed, heart racing as she summoned her strength. The shadows recoiled, uncertainty sparking within them. Suddenly, she remembered the bracelet the charm meant to keep darkness at bay. She dug deep within, reaching for every ounce of hope she could muster. You will not take what I love. Panic and determination united in a sonic wave across the shadowed void. The darkness reacted violently, writhing as if burned. Leah could feel it, it was alive, and it was afraid. This power pulsed within her. She wanted to save the girl, to break the chains binding them both. I choose light. In that moment, she began to visualize the triumph of hope, a brilliant light that converged within her, and then she felt it a rush, like a bolt of electricity coursing through her veins, igniting her thoughts, fusing them into a singular, resounding intent. In a fierce crescendo, Leah pushed forward through the undulating shadows, embracing the light that suddenly erupted from her core. It poured outward, enveloping the girl in a protective cocoon. We will fight this together. Leah declared, defiance ringing like a bell in the darkness, panic crested in the malevolence surrounding her, shadows quivering and thrashing as Leah summoned shards of courage, launching them like daggers of will. The darkness shrieked in raw agony, its form breaking apart under the brilliance of her spirit. With every feathery flicker of light, Leah could see the girl unearth her wings of resolve, her distorted reflection cascading back to full form, radiant and resolute. Leah reached out, hand extended, as they both felt their strength intertwine. Together. They shouted, harmony ringing through the frantic void. The shadows roared once more, but it was not like before. They cracked and splintered, peeling away like old paint as the brilliant light shattered their grip. Leah and the girl stood unyielded as the darkness faded, like mist dispersing under a hot sun. Freedom flooded in, tangling sweet scents with rays of warmth, but as the final strands of darkness evaporated, a familiar figure emerged through the haze, the embodiment of Peter, his face twisted into a mask of rage. You will regret this, Leah. He snarled, but before he could draw closer, Leah felt the bond with the girl strengthen, their light merging into a beacon of intense brilliance. You're not the one with power. Leah shouted, the essence of determination flooding her voice. We choose to fight. You are nothing in the face of love. With that, she and the girl channeled every ounce of tenacity they had, raising their hands toward Peter, driving their united resolve straight through him. A blinding burst erupted, enveloping him in flash fire, his screams echoing as he vanished into nothingness. Then, silence. Leah swayed on her feet, breathless, as warmth spread through her, casting golden rays across the remnants of the void. They were free. The girl looked up at Leah, tears glistening in her eyes. You saved me, you found me. Leah knelt, wrapping her arms around the girl, relief surging through her like sweet relief. And I'll always protect you. We won. With that promise lingering in the air, a swirl of color began to morph their surroundings into something familiar. Leah felt the warmth of home wash over her, the sweet, joyful echo of laughter seeping into her senses. The Maplewood Community Center stood bright and welcoming before them. The autumn leaves danced in the air. They took a deep breath, their own footprints laying the foundation for new beginnings. It's time for us to go home, Leah whispered, knowing they had triumphed against the dark. Together, they stepped forward, ready to build a light-filled future where shadows could not reach them. As they crossed into the sunlight, Leah felt gratitude wash over her. In this moment of relief, she remembered the truth nestled deep inside her heart: darkness will forever exist, but hope is resilient, and love is unbreakable. Danny, she murmured, knowing his spirit would find peace in their victory, as they walked towards a life filled with laughter and warmth, leaving the shadows far behind. Now, dear friends, this is your time. Make sure to subscribe immediately so you don't miss the next exclusive story. You need to be part of the journey. Smash that like button now. Every click feeds the algorithm and helps us grow. Flood the comments section with your reactions, share your theories about what could happen next, or just send your love. Your thoughts matter, and don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need a thrilling escape into these tales. You are crucial to this channel, truth tellers. Let us keep the magic alive.